Greetings, ladies and mentalgents, and welcome to this latest episode of Tales from Outer Space, where I take a space-related story from around the internet and read it out loud for your enjoyment. All the relevant links are down below. Please don't forget to do the usual YouTube gumph, because if you don't, the nanite swarms will steal your other sock. But more importantly, as always, I hope that you enjoy. I'd quickly like to thank the following Tier 5 patrons and channel members for supporting the channel: Datamagnet and Bob the Dragon. Thank you very much. Story number 1. Retirement, written by Archivist on the Mountain. The ship shook with the disturbing harmonics, indicating that the slip drive could stand to be adjusted again. Even though the ship was ours, the engine was invented by us. We didn't understand it properly, where properly meant able to tune it so that it worked in concert with itself. It kept us moving though, and made it possible to travel the stars. Our exploratory vessel, Attempted Business, was one of several experimental craft tasked with finding places for our people to live. Home was just too crowded. And while space is big and stars are plentiful and planets are common, finding a planet that was right for us was projected to be a waste of time, even though we needed one badly. The brains that studied the skies told us that we had no chance of finding anything usable even if we were to launch 1,000 voyages. Our second stop yielded a planet that we could move into tomorrow, this afternoon if we were in a hurry. That's odd. We were expanding our reach and knowledge and, hopefully, our wealth. All alone out here in the black means that a specialist ship would die pretty easily. We had proof of that, so we had tools and raw stock and, never mind. We had a little of everything and a lot of some things, and the only information we had was from several centuries of astronomical scans from the sole vantage point of our astronomers had, our home. It wasn't enough, so we got sent out here. A long way from home, looking close up to the things that we'd only seen from far away, we found a paradise in our second star system that we stopped at. The atmosphere was a perfect mix, with the occasional wind less than destructive. Her biosphere had no allergens. Do you know how weird that is? Our home has allergens. The forests were green, the prairies so lush, the seas were fertile. The mountains were tall and straight and dotted with ore deposits along their proud sides. If we wanted a new home, all we needed to do was land. Just to be sure, I pulled out the latest thing, our exploratory gadgets, our mind detector. We understood it less well than our propulsion drive, but according to how it was used dirtside, it would tell us if there were any intelligent beings loitering around the real estate we desired. It was clean, ready to move in. Oh yeah, where were the owners? Who calls this home? Our captain ordered all of our gathered data loaded into a message beacon and sent back home. We were going to carry on, while the shipbuilders could begin laying a keel for a colony ship. As ordered, we looked for more planets like the one we found. And we hit a jackpot again on the 3rd, 5th, and 8th through 17th stops. I was hoping that the scientists didn't know jack, because if they did, something very strange was going on. We were out of message beacons at that point, and our mind detector still told us that the planets were empty. We periodically checked, and it also told us that our ship was occupied. I kept assuming that that meant that it wasn't out of whack. We just kept logging the data, the coordinates and orbit vectors, the temperature and life spectrum, the satellites and tectonic clefts. Survey System 18 proved that we were being played. 6 habitable planets ringing the star, all strung out along the same orbit, and moons galore, at least 2 per planet, all orbiting vertically to the plane of the planetary orbit. They were perfect launch points for intra-system trade. We couldn't have designed a better system. Yes, an infinite universe, odd coincidences are bound to happen, but there was no way. The crew recreated every anti-bad luck token, fetish, charm, talisman, amulet, totem, and idol ever produced in our entire history. And then they went on to create new ones. Because if there was one constant we knew in the universe, it was fortune will always even out. We were so screwed. And then the magic jewel in our sensor station started to shriek and flash and vibrate, making the bridge crew just about jump out their skin. An intelligence, and it was outside our ship. We'd found aliens. All we had was a signal strength, so the intrepid, handsome navigator, me, suggested a few maneuvers that would allow us to take that data and do something useful with it. After a quick pop over to 3 more points all over the system, we knew where our target was. It was on the second planet by size, just off the equator, at the edge of a large savanna, with no appreciable rivulets of streams to disturb the almost perfectly smooth area where we could land and investigate. Again, something deeply weird was happening. The captain narrowed his eyes, fingered the amulet hung around his neck, and turned to his computer to update his will. The bridge crew mostly followed his lead. Mine was already done. A minor trip with our number 2 shuttle was put us in a comfortable walk from the alien's location. We did not have to wait for an uncomfortable amount of time for our hull to cool enough to open the door. But, well, the whole dream of the matter transmission by quantum linkage and remote assembly, not going to happen until most of the universe's computational resources. We were planning on a significant but short walk to gradually come close to the alien, to show no ill intent and show some humility because, one alien? No observable transport, infrastructure, cities, what have you. Our most powerful optical sensors, a hobby telescope owned by the ship's chef, showed no buildings, no infrastructure, no agricultural development, no quarries. This was a hermit of some type, a castaway from a space-faring race. Anyway, and we were outclassed. Humility was the kind of thing that could conceal desperate caution, which is what we were really feeling. So we were very unsettled to find an alien waiting for us when we opened the hatch. It was mostly like us in form, only beige. No, deeper than that, perhaps taupe. No, that was too dark. But it was in that general family, which suggested that its ancestry was impossibly convoluted. It sported cranial hair and the same color range, leading to a sadly monochromatic appearance. It was clothed in khaki and umber and tan, which didn't help, sitting in a chair that had finished metallic frame and flexible material in deep green forming a support surface. In its hands it held a plant, the root ball free of dirt in one hand, and it was stroking the leaves with the other. It glanced over at us and waved with an open hand. Fingers were stubby, but the palm seemed but longer than ours. "I'll be with you in a moment," it called out. We were stunned. The next bit took a little longer than I'd planned. Really? An alien looking basically just like us, speaking our common planetary tongue, with a rustic accent. I turned to the security officer next to me and whispered, "Hold still." The next moment ripping off a talisman of obscurity from his upper bicep, where it had been tied on just where the red shirt sleeve ended. "I'm gonna need this." I wasn't the only one. Junior bridge officers around me were forgetting their diplomatic training and trying to quietly scrabble for ownership over some unique charms to bolster some holes in their defenses. Too many coincidences, too much good fortune. How are we going to pay for all of this? The captain, who really should have stayed on the ship, but who was going to pull rank on the captain, intervened to prevent the juniors from spiraling out of control, and then arranged us in ranks and grades to await the attention of the alien. It took a while, but the discipline was enough for the moments that we were waiting. Finally, the alien got up from his chair and walked over to us. "Thank you for waiting. That reshaping was at a critical stage and difficult to interrupt." The words were clear, but the meaning wasn't, and the captain had evidently decided to ignore that. He responded, "Thank you for talking with us. Are you the owner of this world?" The alien looked at the captain with what seemed to be a quizzical expression. Well, I suppose so, he eventually said. I like to grow things, and I'm really just puttering around here to see the last things I planted. Where are you from? Before the captain could answer, I went on. No, wait, you're from that odd GB4 star about 1,000 parsecs away, right? That would explain the chromatic emitters on your dermis, and way to redirect some of the excess environmental energy. The captain looked at his senior officers. The rest of us exchanged glances. It wasn't until 5 years ago that the medical community figured out why our skin colors dimmed when we were in extreme isolation. The second environment experiment had to be aborted when the environauts lost color, and everyone thought that they were going to die because they looked like this alien? The alien stood a little straighter. Yes, I believe I need to introduce myself. My name will mean nothing to you. I'm from a very long ways away, and I was born an impossibly long time ago. But I've been waiting for you. I am, in a sense, your father. I've never seen the captain speechless. It's his main job to talk to us all into submission, and right then, he had no words. I made your people, and I've been waiting to see you finally make your first steps away from your home. He waved his hand around to encompass everything. I've been keeping myself busy preparing a few spots for you to stretch out. You mean we can skip the comic thump? This from the brash environmental officer. Young, blue skin, no self-control to speak of. The alien laughed. There is no karmic debt. I've been stopped for a little while on most of the suitable planets, tidying up a little here and there, just making them a little nicer for your first colonies. He reached down and picked up a chair and folded it into a thick rectangle. And now that you know you're allowed to be here, I must be off. The captain put in, Can we go back a minute? Because you said that you made us. What do you mean by that? The alien stopped and looked at the captain curiously. I meant the word that came out of my mouth. I made you. I put your planet together, designed a variant of the hereditary molecule that would work both chemically and topologically for your environment, and periodically adjusted the course of natural selection to produce the kind of beings that would, in turn, produce you. And when your ancestors were too stupid to make a certain natural leap on their own, I taught them how to write and read. He stepped closer to the captain, completely violating his personal space. I made you. He stepped back outside of the polite distance. It's too early to see if you will be anything special, but I have hopes. He looked at the captain up and down. In spite of your demonstrated, disabilities, you might still become something worth keeping. The environmental officer spoke up again. You put our planet together, but it's over 5 billion years old. The alien rolled his eyes. About that, yeah. I built the last kid, and I've been around a while. But, why? He smiled. A worthy question. Think on this. After you fight, explore, build and experience and organize, what is left? There was a pause while all of us tried to not look like we were avoiding answering the question. I finally decided to put on my oar in. Retirement. The alien smirked. And when an accomplished individual gets tired of competing with others and steps away from daily effort, what does he do? There was another pause betraying our lack of imagination. He builds a greenhouse in his back garden and putters around in the garden. Eventually, a mature individual, civilization, or species find that their mature efforts are best used to grow things, abilities, a pause, peoples. Before I could process what he said, he went on, and I need to go. You can move anywhere you want, do anything you can. You can't get to anywhere that's off limits. What you do will be how I judge you. Have fun. And with that, he simply disappeared. We hightailed it back home to report, and within 15 years most of our population lived away from home. I still can't feel like an adult, now that I know that we're so young, and that Dad is still paying our rent, as it were. But I picked up on the clue. It appears that most of the universe is computational resources. I'm still exploring, because somewhere out there is a way to log in. End of story. Story number 2. What humanity saw by species unknown. 1. What humanity saw when they cast themselves through the void was a vast, lonely emptiness. 2. Humanity said, fuck that. Hans, let's make some friends. 3. And so humanity uplifted their oldest friends, the dogs, and saw that they were the goodest boys and girls. 4. But the void was still lonely with only one other creature. And humanity loves a challenge. 5. So they said, Hans, lassie, uplift the cats. 6. And so the cats were uplifted, and humanity saw that there were still kings and queens of their domain. 7. Now humanity was more knowledgeable of uplifting creatures and wanted a further challenge. 8. So they said, Hans, lassie, Tom, let's give fish legs. 9. And so humanity gave sharks, whales, and other aquatic creatures legs and the ability to exist outside of water, and saw that that was pretty cool. 10. But humanity wanted an even greater challenge, now that the void was so far less lonely. 11. As they tried to decide what to uplift next, the coffee boy said meekly, dragons would be pretty cool. 12. Humanity looked at each other before crying out in delight, Hans, lassie, Tom, Bruce, Shamu, Nemu, Dory, make us some motherfucking dragons. And so humanity made dragons a reality and saw that it was really fucking awesome. Book of Humanity 69, 1 through 13. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.